Today, we're talking about how to find a mentor. Now, it's clear that mentorship is key. Most Fortune 500 companies run mentorship programs because they know it's a powerful tool for employee retention and satisfaction and for grooming future leaders. But here's the puzzle. While 76% of people recognize the importance of having a mentor, only 37% actually have one. So, if mentorship is so valuable, why is there a gap between those who recognize the importance of mentors and those who actually have a mentor? Now, I want you to know this disconnect is real. Sometimes it's about awareness. People don't know or understand the importance of mentorship. Maybe it's about access. You simply can't get to a person, or there aren't that many mentors that you'd like to have who are in your field. And sometimes you simply just don't know where to start. And even there's the intimidation or hesitancy to ask someone to mentor. Well, listen, I'm here to bridge that gap with practical, actionable tips to find a mentor. Remember, having a mentor is more than a nice to have, it's a strategic move for personal and professional growth. And we're going to say hello to everyone who's joining us this morning. And I'm glad you're letting me know about how that weather is, but whatever it is, it's exciting because it might be cold now wherever you are, or snow, but you know what? For sure, the next season is coming. 39 degrees. Yes, shout out to you. Sunny from South Africa. How you doing? Futani. Simone, how you doing? So great to have you here. And it's sunny in the homeland, in the motherland. Houston, Texas in the house. Marie, how are you? Oh, thank you for joining. It is so good. I am so glad that I can see the comments this time, because last time we had a little hiccup and I couldn't see the comments. And what I decided to do was to break out my phone so I could also see them here. But that means I got to balance about 5 or 6 different things. So we'll kind of go along and see how that works. So let me tell you, for those of you who I haven't had a chance to meet yet, I'm Dr. Geneva, leadership expert, certified life coach, and a LinkedIn top leadership voice. But I want to tell you my mentorship story. Fresh out of graduate school in my 20s, I was a new bride and a young mother living in a new city. Now I'm an East Coast girl, born and raised on the sun-kissed Jersey Shore, and I never imagined myself living in the Midwest urban center of Detroit. But the professional world that I stepped in as this young girl was one where many people didn't look like me, and female models were real scarce. I felt alone then and overwhelmed navigating this new phase of my life. I knew I needed some help and someone to guide me. I got my first mentor in a way that I just hadn't imagined. The head of the organization where I got my first start and really ended up working my way through that organization to the top, becoming the first female and Black CEO of this multi-million-dollar organization. But when I stepped in, the head of that organization, a white man, an internationally known leader with tremendous respect all over, took me under his wing without me even asking. He was an unexpected ally in a male dominated world. His mentorship was game changing, you all. He taught me the art of leadership, guiding me in understanding workplace dynamics, strategic thinking, the subtleties of organizational politics. Yet I learned very much yearning for a mentor who shared my experiences as a woman. So a few years later, I met two powerhouse African American women. One was the head of a major organization, and the other was a philanthropist and a community activist. These women were everything I aspired to be: confident, commanding, stylish, and an inspiration for any woman in a leadership position. And I couldn't help but ask them to help me. Their mentorship was another turning point. They taught me how to exist in a male dominated executive world, own my own space in it, and look good while doing it all. Mhm. Then there was the pivotal moment of mentorship with a community leader in my professional circle who talked about me and my strengths in influential spaces where I was not in the room and wasn't allowed to go in those spaces. But he championed me and really pushed for my appointment to a highly visible role, even though there were all these whispers about who is she? Now, that role that he sponsored me in, pushed me in, changed my career trajectory. It really did. And that experience with him was really a master class in sponsorship, teaching the really profound impact of someone not only guide you and give you practical, real advice, but also opening doors and talking about you in rooms that you're not in. That sponsorship, it's a dimension of mentorship, and it can help boost your career. Mentors, just like navigators who rely on a compass to find their way through uncharted waters, that's how mentors can help you chart your course through career and even life transition. So, thanks to not one, but many mentors, I was able to grow from a young, overwhelmed professional in a new city, juggling the roles of new wife and mother, into a confident leader, expert strategist, and successful businesswoman who's all about today teaching and inspiring leaders, entrepreneurs, and executives. So I'm really geeked about and always have been about the power of mentorship. And when I realized and understood this gap between those who recognize the importance of mentorship, high 70%, most of us do, but far few less of us have a mentor. I wanted to share my tips on how to find a mentor, the things that work and the things that really have worked for me, uh, proven techniques. So let's get started. Let's jump into this. Tip: clarify your mentor goals. Well, you know, you got to find your why and your what. So the why is about, do you want, what are the reasons for seeking a mentor? Do you want guidance for a career transition Or are you looking for insights to advancing on various positions? Or did you want to develop some specific skills like in public speaking as I'm tripping over my own tongue? But the point is, why do you want a mentor? We all know it's a good thing to have, but I want you to dive a little bit deeper in that. So I want you to figure out and be clear on the why you want a mentor. And then the what. So this is the why and the what of a mentor. So the what has to do with the specific outcomes you're seeking. Do you want to learn about navigating um, office politics or executive level responsibility? Do you want to acquire to get hands on practical advice for starting your own business? Do you want to gain some strategies for how to keep your life balanced? That work-life balance stuff as a high achieving professional, because all of those things are possible when you have a mentor now. But what you need to do is get real clear on the why and the what, because the more clarity that you have about, well, why do I want this mentor and what are the things I need help for, the better you'll be able to spot that mentor when he or she shows up, or the more clear you'll be in going to a particular event or to seeing someone, and that that person might be able to help me because I want ABC. You see what I'm saying? So this clarification is about why and what you want is something so many people overlook, and they don't spend the time to do that. Now, let me know if you all have had any experiences in, um, this. Have you tried? Do you know why you want a mentor? Have you figured it out? And in fact, have you articulated that or said that to someone who you were interested in having a mentoring relationship with? So, okay, so that's tip number one. Clarify your mentor goals. Let me know what you think about this tip. What has been your experience? Have you clarified your goals about why you want a mentor, or is it just, hey, I hear they good, so I want to get me one, which is fine. At least you got that interest, okay? But I want you to take this step, okay? That's what I want you to do. All right, let's get to the second step. Nurture natural connections. Now, this is a strategy that I use most of the time in developing my mentorship network. Okay. And it's interesting because while 16%, 61%, I'm checking this statistic for you, 61% of relationships develop naturally. Only 14% of mentor relations started by asking someone to be their mentor. What do you think about that statistic? So, in other words, the majority of those who have mentoring relationships, they developed naturally. I believe that because, again, that's been the major, it's not the only, but it's been the major strategy that I've used. And so, what are we talking about when we think about this nurture your natural connections? Well, we're talking about um, engaging with who you with every day. And to think about that, because oftentimes you work with someone who you admire or it really got it going on in one way or another. or you're with a colleague who's in another department or runs another business that you have interactions with, and they're right there, or you're working on a project with folk who, several of them, you might see, hey, they got some stuff going on. I'd like to learn more from them. And again, this is the way that I typically have um, talked with people, met people, engaged in, I'm checking on the comments here, engaged with people. It's been through working on a project. And this is really great because these natural connections, they're natural interactions, and they can lay the foundation for these bonds of mentorship. And the other reason that I really like this strategy is because oftentimes when you're working on a project or working on an assignment, working with colleagues or peers, you're really focused on the project and what it is you're doing, and these natural and genuine relationships, conversations, interactions, communications arise. So you've created this very natural, oftentimes genuine space. And that is one of the best ways to have a mentoring relationship, because others get to interact with you and see the real you. They get to see your strengths, they get to see your skills. They get to check you out and see what you like. And you also get that opportunity. And so, as you're working with someone, as you're um, working on that project or fulfilling that assignment, step back and think about, is this someone who I'd really like to learn more from? Is this an individual who can give me some advice or guidance in something that I'm interested in? And again, you know what you're interested in because you've taken that first tip, which is clarifying your why and what, right? Okay, so you got all that together. And then I also want you to remember that as we're thinking about natural connections, you got to remember that mentors can pop up and evolve from various places: your professional networks, your personal connections, or even structured mentorship programs, which a lot of companies and corporations have these days. Structured mentorship programs. So I think it's very important for you to be open to different environments to have these mentorship opportunities just develop naturally. And again, remember, this is one of the best kinds. I can attest to it because they often lead to the most fruitful, genuine connections. And rather than asking someone directly, you just kind of let that relationship build, and then it becomes natural and organic. It's a good tip. What do you all think about that one? Let me know your comments in the chat. And remember, if there's anything that you feel you'd like some extra help with, or you want a mentor, DM me, because that's what I do. And I'd love to have a further conversation with you. Next tip: be mentor ready always. Now, this again, another one of my favorites. I really put together a list of some of my favorites, and they're my favorites because they work. Okay. So, what I want you to do is to always be ready for that mentor that's going to step into your life. Now, what does that mean? First of all, it means you got to be informed and engaged. So, whatever industry you're in, stay up to date, be on top of the news, be on top of the trends, um, be able to have an informed conversation, because oftentimes those casual chit chats can turn into a real opportunity. There have been so many individuals who I've met through the years who are in my field that I've been able to, because I've stayed up on what's happening or what's the latest news, or even some of those provocative issues that happen. And you strike up those conversations, casual conversations that have developed into a mentoring relationship, because you never know where you're going to meet people. So you always need to be ready. The second thing about being ready is you got to have your elevator pitch ready. you know, you've got to be able to tell your story, have your concise, compelling introduction, um, be ready to talk about yourself in a moment's notice, and be ready to um, to introduce yourself and talk about yourself, because you never know when you will have this moment to spark interest, someone else's interest in mentoring you. Because as you tell your story, because your story is unique, it's compelling, it's interesting. And so as you tell your story as a career professional, as an entrepreneur, why you started your business, why you're in leadership, whatever your story is, as you tell that story, people listen and they get interested. I have heard a number of stories from young professionals talking about why they got into business, or what's the importance of leadership and what drives me. So much so that it's motivated me to ask them, to really congratulate them, to say what a great job you're doing. If there's any way that I can help you, let me know. And I've developed a cadre of mentees in that way. So, it does work, because as you tell your story, people become interested. So, but you got to be ready to tell your story. The other thing I want to say about this being ready, so you're informed, you're engaged, you've got your elevator pitch. You also need to listen good to the people that you meet. So you're in a conversation and you're talking with several people. There's someone there in that group conversation who you'd really like to go. You'd really like to learn a lot more from, and you feel you can get some practical, real advice from this individual. Don't have on your mind, well, how am I going to ask them? What am I going to say? How can I, wangle my way over to say, can you help me? No. Spend your time in actually listening to that individual talk about whatever it is they're talking about, because you'll discover what they're excited about, what interests them, what projects they're working on, what they think is important. You'll discover something from them if you actively listen to that individual. And you, by doing that listening, you're going to show this genuine interest and understanding. And this can often be the key to opening a door for a future relationship. If any of you have had uh, this opportunity or have been in this situation, let me know in the comments about that, if you've had that. Okay, mentor ready. Let's get to the next tip, and that's find mentors everywhere. Now, this tip talks about looking for mentorship opportunities. Let me just check. Okay. This tip is about looking for mentorship opportunities in all directions and being adaptable to finding them and how you engage with others. So what do I mean? Well, oftentimes when we think about mentors, we want someone who's at a higher level. Is that right? Is that typically what you look for, or you think about someone who's got, and that's good. You should be set your sights high. But I want you to know that you got mentors all around. You got them sideways, and those are the peers and colleagues and people who you work with. You've got junior colleagues, folk who are younger than you, who can help, particularly, let me tell you, it's a good one. When I was starting out in this new phase, when I transitioned from an um, employee to an employer, left the nonprofit world for the for profit world in this digital economy, I found that there was a whole lot of digital stuff, tech stuff that I did not know. And so I sought out younger generation mentors who helped me become digital savvy. How do you think I'm here pressing all these buttons and trying to figure this out and coming to you every day, streaming in my third act, streaming on LinkedIn, Facebook, X, getting ready to do TikTok? That's because I looked for mentors in places in all different directors, folk who were younger than me, and look for mentors in unexpected places. You know, when you're going out socially, I have met many of folk who I've established a mentoring relationship with at social events, at parties, as we struck up a conversation. I'm telling you, you will find mentors in so many unusual places. And these different mentors can often offer invaluable insights and diverse perspectives. And the other thing I want you to be open to is when you're thinking about mentoring, to broaden your perspective of mentoring. Mentoring can be one on one, and that's how most of us think about it. An individual who we work with one on one. However, you can have mentors in group settings, remotely, virtually now. You can be a part of a mentorship um, group online. And so there are many ways. It's just not one to one these days. You can be in face to face or virtual. So as we expand our definition of mentoring, I worked with one client whose hero, Shiro, was a celebrity who was very active in the industry that she was in. She had a makeup beauty business, and she felt that she could not really connect with her. So we talked about, well, listen, why not get her books and her tapes and look at her YouTube videos and really learn from the things that she's teaching? Because what we often want from mentors is real life practical advice. And so oftentimes you can find that advice in a YouTube video or reading a book or listening to something on a podcast. And so that was a way. It so turned out, I have to tell you, she did started doing this with her idol, someone she wanted as a mentor. And then she began DMing and writing comments and really being engaged in the virtual platforms that this hero of hers was on, and eventually got a response back from her. And they communicate off and on now. And so that's what I mean by it's so important to broaden how you think about where mentors are and embrace various formats and ways to connect with and engage with mentors, because you can find them everywhere. And remember to be very flexible. And whether it's a face to face, a virtual, a phone call, or an off-site coffee chat, let's have coffee. Each of those interactions is an opportunity to learn and grow. So you're going to really be able to benefit from that. Love to hear your experience in the chat. And if you want to talk further about any of this, I know you're going to DM me, right? And let's take a pause here to just Oh, just everyone is, hey there. Hey there. Yes. As a mentor, are there mentor to mentor associations? That's a great question, Miranda. There are. In fact, you can Google mentor to mentor programs, and you'll find a whole list. I was looking at one just the other day. It's called Together, and this is it's a software application that companies use. But because a number of companies, many, in fact, most of the Fortune 500 companies have some type of mentorship program, there now are these apps and programs where, in fact, you can find a mentor. And this next tip that I want to give to you is also, I was just checking on, okay. This next tip can leads into some of that, and that is this tap into alumni power. Now, what do I mean by that? Now, everyone listening to me, I'm sure, is a member of some alumni group, whether it's from where you went to college or where you went to school, an educational institution where you're now an alumnus. I think is the alumnus the singular, um, and alumni the plural. I always get those confused, but you an alum. Let's just drop off the end. You an alum of wherever you might have gone to school. So that's one place. But also past workplaces. I know at my United Way past association, there is an alumni group, and there's several of them. Professional organizations that you might have belonged to, training programs. I know I was a part of the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business Program. It was an actual program. And now that I've graduated, I'm an alum of that. And there's so many alumni activities. Well, and volunteer and civic groups that you're a part of or used to be a part of. Let me tell you, there is incredible power in these alumni groups, and we don't really think about it as much. So, yes, you can do the um, let me go and let me see people and meet people, etc. But there are also ways to have your alumni group manage and do some programming around mentorship. So, in other words, you can talk to your alumni group or your association about organizing unique meetups that focus on alumni mentors, or industry crossover panels, or purposefully engage in mentor to mentor exchanges, or suggest to your alumni associations that they put a priority on mentor connections. And within that, you can get, there is so much power. And when you think about it, you probably have a lot of connections right in your alumni groups. So I'd love for you to consider this tip as something that can really work for you. Tapping in to those associations, organizations, educational institutions, volunteer groups, civic groups with which you once were a part of. And now there's a whole alumni structure that you're either in now, you're active in. I know I'm active in my links alumni group and others. You can go back in and suggest that that group place some priority on finding mentors, how to find a mentor. Hey, maybe even have a workshop series on it and help people in the group. So please use that. And then this tip, just go for it. You know, I say this because as I work with leaders, there is this hesitancy or reluctance to ask. And it's not only in this field of mentorship, I see it in asking for the dollars, asking for the partnership, asking for someone to be a mentor. So, this hesitancy that we have is real. And so, I wanted to, as this tip, to tell you just go for it. There might be rejection, but you can't let that fear hold you back. Every ask is going to be a step towards growth, regardless of what answer you get back. And want you to make the ask and reach out to potential mentors with confidence. A simple, straightforward request can open doors that you've never imagined. Something like, "Hey, Joe, we've been working together on this project, and I noticed you have some incredible IT skills. I'm growing in technology and want to learn a little bit more about that. Would you agree to help me? Would you help me learn more about IT? I think I could learn something from you." Make the ask. And the thing is, because you have your wants and your whys in your head, you can be very straightforward and honest about it and can have a conversation around the subject, around what it is you need, what you think you need, etc. But don't leave the conversation without making the ask specifically, directly. Will you help me? Can you help me? Would you provide some guidance for me? Would you be willing to have coffee with me once a month and share what you know? Too often we think of mentorship in black and white, that it's one to one, that it's over a long period of time, that it's very formal and structured. There is a place for that. And I'm not knocking that at all because, I believe in all opportunities to find, the mentorship, whatever it is you're looking for. Okay. But once you broaden your perspective on where and how you can find a mentor in by using these tips in various ways. But it's important for you to just do it and don't have the hesitancy. One of the things you might want to think about is to leverage social media DMs because you can send somebody a DM that you admire or respect and talk about connecting. That's how we do it on LinkedIn. It really is about making those connections. And so directly message someone that you admire. And, I think your message should be personalized, respectful, concise, but you can express your admiration for their work and your interest in learning from them. That's bold, it's direct, it cuts through a lot of stuff. And then if the response back is no, okay, so be it. Move forward. If you face it, take it in stride. Each no is going to bring you closer to a yes and teach you something valuable. Remember, what we value most in a mentor, I believe, is real world practical advice and someone who's going to listen and give feedback. You can find that with these tips. You can find that mentor. So, in today's session, we covered the immense value of mentorship and also gave you some tips that I know that have worked and have proven to work. And I'm hoping they've provided value to you as you look, as you figure out how to find a mentor. And it's a secret weapon. these mentors, because they can, and it's embraced by most successful companies and individuals. And that gap that's there, we can close that gap by these, becoming more aware, by knowing our why and how, by going for it, just doing it, by looking for mentors in natural places, by leveraging the connections we already have, and using these tips and insights. I think you're equipped to find yourself a mentor. And I want you to remember that the right mentor can be a pivotal piece in your career, because every great leader somewhere along the line has had a parent, a teacher, a big sister, a coach, or someone that they could trust, someone who's lived it and can help you guide it. I'd like you to remember that the best mentors don't just tell you what to do, they show you their successes and their mistakes, giving you a map to navigate your own path. So I said, go out and get you one. That's how to get a mentor. And what other comments? Oh, this is a great suggestion. Yes, church groups, exercise groups, other groups in your social circles. Thank you, Connie, for that. Yes, they're there. That means that mentors are everywhere. Connie says that the online engagement works, but person to person is so key. Connie, I couldn't agree with you more. That one-to-one, face-to-face, that's what matters. That's what really makes a difference. But given too that we have this virtual opportunity, let's be strategic and use them both. I do believe that one-to-one, face-to-face, that rich media, seeing folk is really the best. And if you can do that, do it. And you can supplement and enhance your mentorship strategy by acting virtual, by looking at some of these virtual techniques and tips. Hey, Maria. Maria asks, is it possible to get a copy of this lesson? Guess what? Yes, it is. Let me tell you, I stream on Facebook. You can run over to Facebook. You go to my YouTube channel. Did you know I had a YouTube channel? Go on over there at Dr. Geneva Speaks. I have a YouTube channel. I'd love for you to subscribe onto my YouTube channel. Facebook, YouTube, here on LinkedIn, all of these streams will be available for replay. And so I hope that you'll not only watch them again, but share with others who might find value in this. Yes, double your opportunity. Oh, yeah. Now, see, that's the kind of um, take strategicness, Connie, that you exhibit, that you see, well, there's something here, something there. I prefer this, and this is the best. But if I bring this other thing in, I could double it. 1 + 1 = 3, because I take the synergy of those two things. They're both different. They both have different impacts and inputs and outputs. They different, but they both have their own power, own possibility. And when I bring them together, the synergy of the two matters. And oftentimes, that's a great life lesson. And when we're building particularly collaborative partnerships, and when we're networking and we're working with our teams, the ability to see possibilities in many different places. And rather than just trying to find the one or the only opportunity, let's look at each opportunity, picking out the best of them, putting them together, creating something new and different, and unique. So I love you bringing that forward, Connie, for us. And Maria, oh, thank you. Good mentoring advice. Love and appreciate. Thank you so much. I now remember I did subscribe, girl. Thank you. Thank you for subscribing. I'm so glad to see you. Now, I want to let you know I had some challenges with the comments. I'm going to send a shout out to Dr. Pierce, Trinette Pierce out of Texas. I don't know if you're here with me. I'm checking on my phone. See again. Oh, hey, Carmen, how are you? Yes. Okay, good to see you. Listen, if I miss anyone, trust. It's not because, I don't want to say good morning. I've probably just missed it. And I know I had some challenges last time with LinkedIn and them showing, and one of my favorite colleagues, um, Dr. Pierre out of Texas. I didn't see any of her comments, and she's always here. She always brings such valuable information to our community. So I wanted to make sure that um, I do a shout out to her. How you doing, Rachel? Want to, do a shout out to her if in fact she's here making comments, but somehow we're missing them. Dr. Pierre, I don't see you, but I know you're out there somewhere. Thank you so much. Well, folks, did you all get value? Have you learned some ways to find a mentor? How to find a mentor? Were some of these tips helpful? Let me get a thumbs up if they were as we close out. So much appreciate you being here. If you found this session helpful and now you have more ways on how to find a mentor, give me a thumbs up. I'm going to see you next week, 9 o'clock. If you have any ideas or there's some particular topics or questions that are on your mind about leadership, about self-care and well-being, about transitions, life transitions, and how to navigate them and manage them as a leader, about how to reinvent. I want to go from one career to another. I want to transition from employee to employer. How do I manage that? Any of those topics that really talk about how to elevate our leadership in whatever sphere we're in, let me know about them, please. Thank you, Connie, for sharing your advice. Be known as a connector. Thank you. Thank you. Love it. Okay. See y'all next week, 9 o'clock. Love y'all.